Welcome to Ground Control. I have the Eachine Mini F-22 Raptor Warbird sent to me by Banggood. This item is courtesy of Banggood. I want to thank them for sending me this Eachine Mini F-22 to review. I got the 3 battery pack version. You get everything comes assembled except for the landing gear, and it comes with screws to attach the landing gear. Mine had a spare screw in it. It has a tiny screwdriver. I don't think I've seen one that tiny before. It comes with a spare prop. The prop is a 2510 prop. It has a 1020 brushed cordless motor on it. Comes with a manual, and it's tail heavy without the battery in it. The batteries are 1S 360 milliamp hour batteries with lossy connector. They're the same batteries that come with the Mini P51D Mustang. So if you get both of them, you're going to have some additional batteries that you can use in both. It has 2 servos. You have, instead of having just elevons on this plane, you have elevator and you have aileron. Now, before you go out and fly, I suggest that you make sure that all your control surfaces are trimmed out. And the reason I say that is because if you go from gyro mode to manual mode and you don't have it trimmed out, you don't know what the plane is going to do, and it may do something very abrupt if these control surfaces are not centered. So center up your control surfaces before you go out and fly. A well-trimmed plane will fly much better than one that is not. The transmitter takes 4 AA batteries. It has all the trim buttons on it. This is a mode 2, so I have the throttle on the left hand side. Your flight mode switch all the way forward is in beginner mode, 6-axis gyro. Center position is it's called mid-level. It would be a 3-axis gyro. It still prevents you, I think, from doing a lot of aerobatics, but it allows you more angle control. You can do tighter turns, more abrupt climbs and dives with it. And then all the way back is the expert mode, which is full manual mode. Just like the P51, it has the little stunt button over here. Just like the little toy quadcopters, if you're flying and you want it to do a roll in gyro mode, and I think it has to be in 6-axis gyro beginner mode, you push the button, you'll hear a beep, and then you push the stick in the direction that you want it to roll. Or if you want it to do a loop, you're going to push the button, wait for the beep, and then pull the stick back, and it will automatically do a loop. Make sure you have a sufficient amount of altitude before you do that. Now on mine, when I say check all of your control surfaces, make sure that you have your switch in full manual mode so that you don't have any inputs from the gyro. Okay? You're not going to be able to center these up if you've got it in gyro mode. So make sure you're in manual mode. On mine, I had one elevator control surface that was too low, so I had to adjust that, and I had the left aileron control surface was too high. So make sure that you do your mechanical adjustments on those with the transmitter in manual mode, and make sure that in the center position of the stick that the aileron surfaces are flush with the wing plate. You know, look at it sideways for your elevator. Make sure that your elevator is in line in a neutral position with the little cutout here for the horizontal stabilizer. Alright, so you want everything in a neutral position, and then once you get it up and flying, put it in manual mode, then you can go ahead and trim it out. But I always suggest that you start out with everything in a neutral position. That way you know there's nothing strange is going to happen when you kick it into manual mode. Okay, so with all that, let's go out and test this plane. We'll try all 3 flight modes with it and see what it's capable of. I will see you out at the field. Okay, I'm out here with the Eachine Mini F-22. I've got it in beginner mode. So let's go ahead and get it in the air. Okay, that's full left deflection. Full right deflection. That's a pretty good turn radius for being in beginner mode. Throttle back to about 50%. Fast little plane. Okay, let's see what
kind of climb and dive rate we've got on it. We seem to have a little better dive rate than we have on the climb. Pretty cool little plane. Okay, let's come back around and then we'll put it in intermediate mode. Okay, that is intermediate mode. Woo! You have more authority. Let's see, climb. Oh yeah. Definitely. Let's see if we can do a loop in this mode. Oh, it just went into a death spin there. Alright, we got the gyros stabilized again. Let's take off again in beginner mode. And we'll come back around and try that intermediate mode again. Gain a little altitude. Okay, that is intermediate mode and definitely has a really touchy elevator in intermediate mode. Let's see if we can do a roll. No, can't. Definitely need to tone down the elevator. Alright, I'm going to come back around. And we'll gain a little altitude. Woo. We'll gain a little altitude and put it in full manual mode. There's full manual mode. I'm losing it. I lost it. I let it get too far away from me and I lost orientation. Okay, I have muddied up the nose. Thankfully, this is made out of very durable EPP foam. Beginner mode again. Alright. Get some altitude. Manual mode. Oh, real slow. Real slow on the roll. You got to be careful about not stalling it out. Full manual mode here. Oh, I think our battery's getting low. I'm going to switch back into 6G mode, bring it back in for a landing. And then we'll try that again with a fresh battery. Okay, take two. Let's get this thing in the air with a fresh battery. Beginner mode. Okay, beginner mode. I'll come back around and put it in manual again. Gain some altitude. And it immediately wanted to climb there, so even though I thought that I had it, the elevators in the neutral position, obviously they're not. I'm going to have to actually put them down a little bit further down from where they look like they were neutral, and fast little plane, but the elevator is just too darn sensitive. There's a roll. Well, let's see if we can do a loop with it. No. Wow. Can't do a loop with it. It just doesn't have enough power, it doesn't seem. Can't do a roll. Kind of a slow roll. But we're still in manual mode here, as you can tell. It's a little iffy on the controls. Pretty slick, but it's going to take some getting used to, and that's the way the P-51 Mustang was too. Although I think this one is a bit more abrupt on the controls than the P-51 was. There's another roll, manual mode. That is fast. That's fast for a little tiny F-22. And that slick, whoa. I lost a little altitude there on that turn. Another roll. Keep it close enough in so I don't lose orientation on it again. But yeah, I'm definitely going to mod that. Elevator. And you can see that, yeah, I've had to put my second battery pack in it to kind of get used to this thing. But I think this might turn out to be a pretty darn good little F-22 once you get used to the controls. And you want to prevent it from climbing so abruptly. Okay, so there's my timer. Let's bring it back in 6G mode and land it again. And I'm going to put another battery pack through it.
Okay, so when I had this out for this flight session, I ended up putting 8 battery packs through it. I flew 3 battery packs almost the entire flight in manual mode. So let's talk about the good first and then the not so good. In full manual mode, in beginner mode, this little Parkjet is just rock solid. Even if you've never flown a plane before, I don't think you're going to have a problem flying this one in beginner mode. The gyro was just right on. You know, I had no problems whatsoever. It maintains its attitude absolutely great. When you're going into a corner, you're going to have to add a little back pressure, just like any plane. But other than that, it was fantastic. In beginner mode, it made it very easy to come in and land it. If you're going to hand launch it like I was doing, I was launching it at between 60 to 70% throttle. It is going to lose some altitude when you let go of it. So I recommend that when you launch it, you give it a pretty good chuck and about a 30-degree angle upward. The gyro, you know, if you hand launch it in beginner mode like I was doing, the gyro will level it out, but you'll have enough altitude that you won't have any problem getting on the stick. The intermediate mode gyro, I didn't care for it. It seemed like in the intermediate gyro mode, it stabilized it fine, but if you got into a stall condition, it seemed like the gyro got confused and it just could not pull it out of a stall. Unlike in beginner mode. In beginner mode, you're limited as to how hard you can pull your turns and stuff, so it really doesn't get into a stall condition. In the intermediate level, it will allow you to put this into a stall condition, and then if you saw in the video, it just kind of spiraled down. It was never able to right itself. So I wasn't happy with the intermediate mode gyro. So in beginner mode, it's fantastic. Someone with no experience flying planes is going to be able to fly this just fine. In manual mode, the elevator is, I think, more abrupt with this one in manual mode than it was with the P-51 Mustang, and the P-51 Mustang was pretty abrupt. One thing that I noticed is when I have this in beginner mode and I pushed the stunt button and rolled it, the plane rolled a lot faster than I could roll it in manual mode with full deflection. So it almost seemed like they had limited the deflection of the ailerons in manual mode compared to what it has when you're doing the stunt, when you're pushing the stunt button. But it has too much authority in the pitch axis. I think that if they would have taken some of the servo movement out in manual mode in the pitch axis for the elevator and added more authority to the ailerons, they would have had it right. They would have had it just right in manual mode. The way it is, with a very sensitive pitch axis in manual mode, it takes a few battery packs to get used to that, to where you're not, jerking it all over the place. So after I put 6 battery packs through it, I think, let me see, out of 6 battery packs, I think I flew quite a bit in manual mode out of 2 of the 6 battery packs. And by the time that I got to the end of the 6th battery pack, I was a lot more comfortable with it in manual mode. And by the time that I got through the 8th battery pack, flying the next 2 almost exclusively in manual mode, I got really comfortable with it. And it was a lot of fun to fly. The roll rate, I think, in manual mode is just too slow. I think that one of the reasons why I couldn't pull a decent loop was specifically because there's too much movement in the elevator. I think if I was able to do that, much more smoothly, this thing would probably do a nice loop. When I take it back out, I am going to experiment with that. It seemed like it was a little bit underpowered to me, trying to do aerobatics with it. This has a 2510 prop on it, so I'm going to experiment with putting different props on it. A little larger diameter prop, a prop with a little more pitch on it since it is a 1020 motor, and see if that gives me a significant amount of more thrust on this Parkjet without creating too much torque roll. So I'm going to experiment with that. I'm going to follow this up with 2 more flights that will be primarily in manual mode, so that you can see the improvement over time of flying this thing through 8 battery packs basically and seeing how it looked the first time that I put it in manual mode, and then what it looked like by the 8th battery pack when I put it in manual mode. I think you'll see a stark difference. It's just getting used to the controls. I am going to perform a mod on this, and if it works out, I will do the same thing to the P-51 Mustang, and that is I'm going to clip the C-band off of this control rod, and I'm going to move it down to the outer hole on the elevator to give me a slight amount of additional granularity or resolution on the pitch axis, and I think that will be a huge help. Now I had my elevators in a completely neutral position. I don't know if maybe this plane is just slightly tail heavy with the stock battery in it, but it looks like I'm going to have to pull the elevators down below the neutral position just ever so slightly. It did seem like it wanted to pitch up quite a bit when I was flying it in manual mode, so I'll have to test that out and see where the sweet spot is on the elevators in the neutral position. So you know, one or two flights is not going to give you an idea of what this thing's capable of. So I will be posting in the next couple of days additional flights, primarily in manual mode, so that you can see the improvement in the flight characteristics of this plane as I get used to the controls on it. So watch for those. I think this is another plane that, for the price, I think it's a very good value, especially as a beginning park jet. It will test your skills if you're an intermediate pilot. Maybe an expert pilot would not have any problems. I consider myself an intermediate level pilot, and it was challenging for me until I got through 7 or 8 battery packs in manual mode. I nosed it in 3 times. One time I hit the ground upside down, and all I had to do was, twice I think the battery compartment, came open. All I had to do was close the battery compartment, throttle it back up and throw it in the air again, and that's a testament to the durability of EPP foam. This thing definitely passed my durability test. So I give this plane a big thumbs up. I don't care for the intermediate mode gyro selection, but the beginner mode gyro selection makes this thing a absolute breeze to fly. And like I said, once you put a few battery packs through it, you're going to have a lot of fun with this in manual mode too. I know I really had a lot of fun. So watch for the other videos I'm going to be posting, and then I'll periodically be posting additional videos of this, testing different props to get more thrust out of it, and relocating those control rods at the bottom of the control horns. So I think that will be a big help. So thanks for watching. Please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the air.